I ain't gonna lie, bro. I was thinking about this today, and I came to the conclusion that that our dreams die, and the right ones kind of find you, right? So where does this kind of like where did this idea kind of come from? Really, it came out of just like nowhere, bro, right? So basically, I was at work and I was thinking, I was journaling in my head. I was like, yo, everybody has a dream that they, have initially, whatever it is, right? Some people have, dreams, but the thing is, other people have dreams that don't work out, but then their dreams kind of transform into like a whole different thing, right? So my initial dream was my first ever dream was I wanted to just play video games all day, right? That was my very first initial dream because my favorite thing to do was playing video games. I love playing video games. I love playing PS2 like back in the day. Yes, I'm that old. Don't say anything. Anyways, so that was my first ever dream. Now, my real first ever dream, right, was when I was about 14 years old, right? And I had just started high school, and I had some of my friends from high school, were friends that I already met along the way in my journey in life leading up to high school, and we sat at a lunch table, right? And this was where my comedic genius, you can say, started to really take off, right? And one day I was like, you know what? I'm about to practice my jokes in the mirror, right? And I did. And I remember practicing my jokes, like actually doing like a whole comedy routine and everything, right? And then I would deliver that comedy routine at the lunch table. And everybody would like be like, what I'm saying, laughing and everything. And it felt great. So then I had the idea, I was like, yo, I think I want to be a comedian. Like I think I want to be a comedian, right? And yeah, I just kept on practicing and practicing and practicing, right? Because and the reason my reasons for doing so was because um it made me feel seen, right? Like it gave me the validation of like being funny. It felt good to be funny. Another thing is, for once in my life, I didn't feel like the side character of my own life, right? Like, and that feeling was like the catalyst. Like that was like the okay, if I ever do make it, that's where I'm gonna tell people. Like I'm gonna tell people, you know, I felt this way, right? And that's why it led me to here. That was like my whole catalyst. And it made me it gave me a sense of being seen because I also had this thing where I struggled with feeling invisible. And what I mean by that is like, you know, I felt like everybody like around me didn't really like react to my presence. They weren't really aware of my actual presence, right? Like when I would go to school, I would see people being, what I'm saying, greeted by other people, and they be and they'll be all like, "Yo, what's good, bro? Like how you doing?" But then when they would see me, they'd be like, "What up, bro?" Or not saying, or just like not saying anything, just at all. And it was just like, okay, right? And that made me feel like a loser, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, even at like, and to be fair, it felt like this even like in my personal life too. Like, even like at like family functions, it kind of felt like that too, where it was like, yo, what up, bro? What up, bro? Right? It's like, all right. And that's kind of how I felt, right? So it's like it made me feel like I was visible. Um, and yeah, so I had that dream all of my freshman year of, what I'm saying, high school. And then that dream kind of just died. It just one day I just stopped doing it. I mean, I was always still funny, but one day I just kind of just stopped doing it. I just was like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't really be maybe I should focus on something else. And then I kind of drifted. I kind of drifted, and everything kind of just, just I was going through I was going through the motions of just high school and just like life, right? So then around my 11th grade year of school, or no, my sophomore year of school or whatever, right? In the middle of my high school journey, my assistant principal introduced me to the world of access television. Yeah, I started going to this actual program where I learned to kind of like film TV. And I thought, okay, this is where I'm gonna actually anchor. I'm gonna actually anchor myself in this, and this will become my new dream, right? This is my new dream. Okay, cool. So I did that. And I got on to this like one startup show and everything, and I was filming that. I was like the film guy. And we had a bunch of episodes, a bunch of seasons that nobody really ever watched for real, right? And it was great. But then I got this notion. I was like, at some point around, I would say like maybe 17. I was like, well, no, when I was 18, because I did it when I was, yeah, for like 2 years. So I was like, at this point, I was like 16. So when I would turn 18, um, and when it was time to go to college, I was like, okay, I don't think I actually want to do this anymore. Like this isn't really fun for me anymore. And honestly, I'm kind of getting bored of this, right? Okay. And as time progressed, after high school, I drifted once again, right? And I went to college. I didn't have a major. I went because I had to like appease my actual mom, like, right? Like I didn't it didn't really feel like I was doing anything for me at that point, right? So I drifted and drifted. And then when I was 21, a new thing came about. And that for me was music production, right? So basically, I was at my one friend's house, and he was like, "Yo, bro, like," and we were like we were making beats at his house the one day, and he was like, we were like, "Yo, bro, like if you have an ear for it, why don't you try it out yourself?" So me being me, I was like, "All right, well, okay, whatever." So then I went out and I bought my very first like MIDI keyboard. Actually, I still have it. It's somewhere in here, right? Whatever. Like, anyways, so I did that, and I learned music theory, right? All right, cool. Did that, and then I bought FL Studio, like the whole edition. I bought it, copped it, you know what I'm saying, whatever. And I was really buried in that, and then I said, okay, cool. Now this is my real new dream. This is the dream that I'm gonna do, and I'm going to launch myself into this, and really really absorb this, right? That didn't happen the way that I thought it would be, because I lacked the confidence. I didn't have the actual confidence to really pursue music relentlessly. I didn't have that, right? I didn't know. Nobody taught me. And that's the thing, is your dreams probably die because nobody teaches you how to actually achieve your dream. Because it's a skill to achieve your dream. That's a whole skill. That's why I think dreams kind of die as well, is because nobody says, hey, bro, if you want to do this, right? In a general sense. Nobody taught me. Nobody talked to me. Nobody mentored me to do what I wanted to do. It was always for academics, but it never was for my actual dreams, my actual wants, and the things that I wanted to get out of life, right? And because nobody showed me this, I didn't have the strength to really pursue music as I wanted to. I lacked the strength, and ultimately that feeling never left because I was a producer for like I was 21. I kind of stopped producing when I was like 25, 6ish. Yeah, I was like 25. So for 4 years, I lacked the confidence. Yes, I showed up, and showing up is great, but I didn't have that extra oomph, right? I didn't have that. So, anyways, so and then once my music dream kind of faded away, whatever, I drifted again and I became a streamer, and that was fun. It was the new shiny object thing, right? And the thing is, I didn't believe in myself as I didn't believe. What's really crazy is I didn't take my own self seriously being a streamer because I thought I wasn't entertaining. I had a limited belief placed on myself. But how can that be when just years ago I wanted to be a comedian? What changed? It really ultimately boiled down to a lack of confidence because I wasn't confident being on camera. Like throughout my entire, I'm just now learning to be confident on camera. Like even like right now, like I'm just every day that I get on this camera, I'm still like the actual progress bar, right? Like I gain XP in the like I gain XP in the confidence bar still, right? And I'm like almost what 60 plus videos in at this point. So it's just like, okay, right? And I wasn't confident, and I had this belief and limited beliefs. Limited beliefs actually do kill you in a sense. They kill you creatively, passionately, spiritually. They do hinder you, and I learned that the hard way. But anyways, right? So I streamed off and on, and then I drifted again, right? Drifted and drifted. But this time, this drift, it made me feel different. It made me feel like it really felt like I was on a boat, right? It felt like I was on a boat and there was like no way out of the boat. I was just on this boat in this endless ocean, just like laying flat on my back, and it's still just sunny out. There's no day or night, and I'm just laying just on this boat, and I can like hear like the waves, and it seems like I'm going to like this island, but I don't know where I'm going. There's no compass, no nothing, right? And I drifted again, and I drifted and drifted and drifted and drifted and drifted. And then, weirdly enough, right, I discovered a whole new side of YouTube that talked about drifting, that talked about self beliefs, that talked about how to become disciplined, that talked about all this positive things, how to like really rebrand and rebuild my whole life, right? And I I listened. I actually listened and I said, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this for myself. And I did, right? And that led me to do YouTube, right? This is like my actual story. It led me to do YouTube and everything. The thing about that was, right, is when I did YouTube, I wanted to be a self-improvement YouTuber, right? That was the bread and butter because I was inspired by the Avery B's, the recent cuts and all, like right. I was inspired by them, and I still am. Like Avery B is like one of my favorite YouTubers of all time at this point. But anyways, so I got inspired to do that similar type of content. I said, okay, cool, right? Cool. And then something else happened, right? I said to myself, I do like self-improvement and I do the things that they do, and I love the discipline. However, this doesn't really feel like me because it felt like I was like, in a way, it felt like I was like phoning it in. Like, yeah, I read the books, and yeah, I do like the actual journaling, but it felt like I was phoning it into a degree, right? Because my natural self, I'm funny, right? And it was a joke that I said on camera in one of my videos. If you find this video, you're gonna get 10,000 points. But when I said this joke, it was, I am a comedian disguised as a self improvement YouTuber. That was the joke. But then as time progressed, I was like, wait, was that actually a joke? Was that really a joke? And then I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm a comedian. I like to make, because I've always liked to make people laugh. That was like laughter is still my gateway to feeling seen. Okay, I feel good if I make you laugh. I feel good if I make my wife laugh. I feel good if I make my best friends laugh. I feel good if I make anybody laugh or have a good time, because that's what my natural energy allows me to do. That's what I do. I make people laugh through comedy. I make people have different perspectives through a comedic approach. It may not always be like a joke, but it's in a joke format. And then that became the basis of my channel. Like, even down to the very way that I do these videos, right? Because I don't have a script. This isn't a script, right? This is like my actual thoughts formed as a comedy joke almost. So it's like, okay, this is who I am. This is the YouTuber that I am, right? I am a comedian disguised as a self-improvement YouTuber. But do you realize something? Do you realize something? My original dream came back. It came back, right? But this time it was stronger. And it came back for the version of me that I became, like, it came back for the version of me that I fully accepted, right? It made me stronger. And it gave me a sense of clarity, like a real sense of clarity. And real clarity is breathtaking. It's like, whoa, like that's how I felt. That's that's how I feel now. So it's just like, and that feeling is so great. And it feels like I climbed this whole entire mountain just to get back to where I originally started, which this feeling is the feeling that you get when you finally learn that the destination is the journey. Okay? That's the ultimate, like, that is what I feel. I feel like everything that came back is just a full circle moment back to where I initially started, right? And that's my story, man. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, your dream, your original dream, right? If it ever dies, will always come back stronger when you are ready to accept the person that you are becoming. That is today's lesson. So, yeah, if you enjoyed my long story about my whole entire life about dreams, or like, whatever, please leave a like, comment down below. Tell me about your dreams. Did your dreams die? Did your dreams not die? What are your dreams? Right? What do you dream for? Why do you, like, right? I want to know all of that in the comments down below. And yeah, man, I will see y'all on the next video tomorrow, right? And we're gonna be back at it again. So until next time, peace. Oh, you wait. Peace.